Hey, it's Friday. This is Brian at Grimm's Auto Service. Today we've got a Chevy pickup. It's got 200 and let's see, zoom in here. 284,000 miles on the thing, almost. I drove it in. The brake light was on. The brakes just go all the way to the floor. So I put some fluid in it, and we're going to pump it up and try to figure out where it's leaking out at. It's a beautiful Friday. I think it's about 70 degrees outside today. I think we're finally getting a few cars caught up around here. There's a couple parking spots. We're going to lift this one up, get the Chevy up in the air, and see where the brake fluid's leaking out at. On most vehicles you can just add some brake fluid and pump it a few times and you'll have a puddle. This one I put some fluid in it and pumped the heck out of it, and I could not get it to leak out anywhere. So I don't know if you can see up there, I got my pressure bleeder up there and we pumped it up, and now I see a puddle starting to form on the ground. So looks like the good old Iowa Salt took another brake line. Job security. Just like we got this beautiful Chevrolet over on the other hoist, I've got to put the brake line going from the front all the way to the back. We buy a 25-foot roll. I just got one piece rolled out. We still got to flare it, put some ends on it, and get it installed. So we'll get this one done also today, hopefully. Hey look, it's Mac Tool Friday. He's been sitting out there for a while. I hope he's okay. There's his name and number if anybody wants to call and harass him or purchase some tools from him. I bet he'll ship them to you. He's a pretty nice guy. Okay, back to work. I'm gonna make a brake line for this blue Chevy pickup. Scott's working on the red one. This is what we got. I just got a homemade kit that we have a bunch of different fittings and stuff. Don't pay attention to any of these numbers. This is just a case for a special tool that somebody threw away, so I just recycled the container. And then I got my hydraulic flaring tool. Now you can see we've had that thing for at least 10 years or so. It's all rusted and see all the broken bits and stuff in there, but that's what we're going to use to flare the brake line today. I'll get everything set up here. Look, he's alive. Now we can buy some lots of tools from him today.
Here, it's the back of the shirt.
There you go. Your cool shirt. I do. See what the Mac man brought me today. New cylinder leak down tester. You can call and order one from him and get your own from Chris if you want. $120 some. The first thing I always do is slide my nut on the line, put a little bit of tape on there so it doesn't slide all the way down. But then there's nothing worse than making a nice flare and then having to cut the end off so you can put a nut. And I've got a little reaming tool. Ream it out and we'll get it clamped into the flaring tool. We'll show you how to use this hydraulic flaring tool here. You got your dies that there's two halves of it. Come on here. Okay. See how much more I'm going to struggle. Get it just level with the, or have the line flush with the dies sticking out. Let's show you here in a second. If you can see how it's kind of flush with the die there. Then you use this die to push in. When you get done with this, it'll almost look like a bubble flare. Release that. And then you put, whoops. After that, then you use this cone-shaped one. There we go. That's what, see if you can see that. That's what it should look like when you're done. Now we'll fish that through the frame of the truck there, and then I'll cut it to length and flare the other end. Next thing you want to do after you get the line kind of loosely laying where you want to install it, we'll cut it to the proper length. I've already put my nut on the line so I don't forget to do that later. Got one of these Here's what the ratcheting tubing cutter looks like. There's the Mac tool number on it. You just slide the tube down in there. Normally I just use one of these little cheap ones and just pick these up for a few bucks up at Napa. We'll flare this end just the same way we did the first side. Going in. You can see that on there. Now we just have to bend it around so we can hook it up, and then we'll securely attach the new brake line to the frame. Got my tubing bender up here. Kind of bend her around in the so it'll go at the same angle as the rubber brake hose is coming in. I got her pretty close there. We're gonna have to tweak it around a little bit. I'm kind of running out of room on my SD card, so I can't record all of this. On this truck, instead of ripping out all the old brake line and it could disturb the other fuel lines and cause other leaks, we're just gonna zip tie the new line up there with the rest of the lines. But I was going to show a trick here where if you take a zip tie and go around it, and then you take another zip tie and you go between the two tubes, and that acts as a spacer, so then that way once you tighten everything up, then the lines can't rub against each other. And then always make sure you're not a slob and cut all your tails off. There's nothing worse than looking at something and there's all these zip ties hanging everywhere. Here's our end product. We got a new line running up there right next to all the other ones, and you can see it goes up and connects. There's a factory union up there. This truck's not too bad a shape for a 20-year-old Iowa truck, but she's kind of getting to her. You can see they've glued this rubber over the top of the rust, so it makes it look good for a little while, but eventually the rubber starts coming loose off of them. You can see it's pretty crusty under there, so it's just a matter of time. They'll all be going to the crusher someday. All we have left to do is bleed the brakes and we can ship this thing down the road. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please like us and subscribe. One quick tip for bleeding the brakes, like on this particular truck, how I do. I've got an adapter for my pressure bleeder that goes over the top of this, but it's a pain to put on and a lot of times it leaks around the top. So you can buy one of these syringes from most of your auto parts stores. I think they're about 10 bucks. I think if you don't have somebody to help you bleed the brakes, then you can just try to film this one-handed here. Make sure you got plenty of fluid in it. And then I've already sucked some fluid up into the syringe. You can see there's air in there. You want to stop before you get to the air, but you put the rubber down over the top of the hole, like if you can see. You put the tip over the top of there and you have your bleeder open in the back, and then you just slowly put pressure on that, and then just make sure you stop before you run out of fluid. I can hear it dripping on the floor right now, but yeah, see how there's still some left in there. You don't want to force air in the system or you'll be sitting there all day, but then you can just suck some more fluid from the reservoir and keep on bleeding until you get all the air out. This tool is actually made for like bench bleeding the master cylinder if you replace the master cylinder. So just thought that'd be a quick tip for you guys out there doing this all by yourself with one-man bleeding job. This is awesome. I just got done doing a brake line on this blue Chevy. Scott did a brake line on a red Chevy, and then he goes and takes us out for a test drive, and now it's blowing the brake line out. Let's see. There we go. Nice. It's brake line day at Grimm's Auto Service.